Oi. Whoever is on, please please put yourself on mute.
Rabbi, do you recite Tachanun tomorrow?
Yeah.
It's regular Tachanun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
You know, we did.
Yeah.
Fine. Other English gave a whole thing and also light candles. But when they light candles, they don't.
Okay, this is their minute. It's good. This is their minute. This is their minute. Is good. Did it I let I did it I let I did it I Rabbi let I did I let I let it Rabbi let I ay 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 da 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 oh yeah no 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 da 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 no yeah my da oh da da ya da yeah da da ay la da good flavor here that's cinnamon yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, la da. Yeah, da da da. Yeah, da da da. I la da. Yeah, na na na. Beautiful. Yeah, 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 da da da. See, it's beautiful. Yeah, 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 my dam. Yeah, 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 yeah. Ah, yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah, na, na, na. Yeah, yeah, na, na.
Is it going to be your start?
Yeah, yeah. But I'm not sure if we're gonna make it. I think we should make it Wednesday night.
Yeah.
But it depends. If you're gonna have someone come here, we'll just have to see on their schedule when it is. Yeah, yeah, sure. It's good, huh? No? Oh, Shloime, L'chaim, L'chaim, Shloime. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, Shloime, L'chaim. Should be besimcha, always besimcha.
Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim v'livrocha. Okay, there's no better way to start a Farbrengen with a good Alter Rebbe story.
Can you pass the egg?
Yeah. So there was a chassid of the Alter Rebbe. He was a peddler. He'd go around all week. Whatever he could do, he would wheel and deal. But one thing was sure, he always made sure to come home in time for Shabbos. Usually he tried to come on a Thursday, Friday morning, but he always made sure to be home for Shabbos. It didn't have a big parnasa, but it was his parnasa. So at the Yechidus, the Alter Rebbe asked him, what's a Seder Avodah and what's his parnasa? We see from the Zman Baal Shem Tov that tzaddikim, the Avodas Hashem, was to be concerned not only about the spiritual welfare of Jews, but also, was a tutzach with shidduchim, with children, health, parnasa. The truth is that we see it by the first Rebbe, by Moshe Rabbeinu, Chaim. The first thing that Moshe Rabbeinu does is he sees that there's a Yid being hit, and he stands up for him. He takes care of the welfare of the Yid, and he complains to the Eibishter about the welfare for the Yid, the Gashmi's dikah for the Yid. Anyway, the Alter Rebbe asks him, what's his business? What's going on? Alter Rebbe says, I have an eitzah for you. It's kedai. What happens if you get stuck somewhere Shabbos? You'll be without lechem mishnah. It's kedai. Whenever you travel, you should take with you 3 chalas. You'll have for Shabbos. Okay? The Alter Rebbe said it to him, that he should have always with him 3 chalas, just in case he's stuck for Shabbos. So every Sunday when he would go out, he would take with him 3 chalas. And yep, it happened once that it was, he thought he's coming home early on a Friday morning, and it's Pablonjet, he got lost somewhere, and he can't find his way. And as much as he thinks he's getting back to Derech HaMelech, he's Pablonjet. And he sees a house, so he figures, okay, it's Friday afternoon, and he's not getting out of this place. At least he'll have somewhere to stay. Knocks on the door. The guy opens the door. He seems like a nice guy. He says, could he stay? He says, he's Jewish, but Shabbos. He says, no problem. You're not the only one that's here with me. So he takes his packages. He comes into the house. And he gets an uncomfortable feeling about this place. He was thinking to himself, this is a house in the middle of nowhere. So he wants to leave the house. He can't leave the house. Door is locked. Guy says, here's your room. Your room is over there. He walks into the room, and the guy slams the door behind him. And there is a ferocious dog sitting right there. So that's what the guy meant. That you're not the only one here. Okay. So okay. The meantime, the dog is just sitting, and so the Chassid starts saying, say the Kabbalah Shabbos. He says Pasach Elio, and saying Tehillim, Gedavet Minche, Gedavet Kabbalah Shabbos. It's time to have Suda Shabbos. He was lucky there was a barrel of water there. He washes his hands, and he takes out the challah. Takes out the challah. The dog wakes up. The dog stands in the back feet and puts its 2 front feet on the chassid, and he's barking. But the chassid will dich machen kiddush, the shleima. So he makes kiddush quickly, and he takes a chunk of challah and he throws the challah on the other side of the room. So the dog goes to get the challah. So good. The dog devours the challah, and the dog is quiet. The dog is good all night. The chassid is not that comfortable because he realizes that this is. But gezut gesagt Tehillim in the morning. He davened again. The Suda Shabbos. He washes his hands, and the dog comes running. As soon as he washes his hand, the dog runs, puts his 2 feet on his 2 hands on the chassid. He says kiddush quickly, and he takes a chunk of challah and he throws the challah away, and the dog eats it up, and he's content. And by Suda Shlishis, it's the same thing. Again, the same thing with the dog. Shabbos is out, and the door opens, and the guy comes with a pail and a shovel. And that's the usual business. Is that by now all he needs is a pail and a shovel, and he gets rid of the bones. But he never saw each other. The dog is sitting there, and the guy is still alive. So he tells the dog, attack him. The dog doesn't attack. No. The Yid is a soicher, versteht das auch. So he's not waiting for too much. So he turns to the dog and he says, attack him. And the dog attacks him. He attacks him and puts him down, and before you know it, you can put him in a pail. And the dog is wagging his tail. So the soichet verstanden that the dog wants him to come with him. So he follows the dog, and the dog takes him to some place in the yard. And the dog starts with the feet. He starts like digging. So verstanden, gleich verstanden. This is the other side. The bones go in the pail, and the money probably ends up here. So he digs and he digs, and he finds a big chest. Kachava. It's full of stuff, of good, valuable stuff. So he puts it on the wagon, and the dog jumps in front of the horse, and he follows the dog until they got out of the forest. And then the dog lays down and dies. So he comes out, he's safe, he comes home, and he's thrilled for this miracle, and he quickly goes to Liozna, to the Alter Rebbe. So the Alter Rebbe told him that this dog was an neshama of, unfortunately, a Yid that was never nizir in doing kiddush. He had to the Shabbos, but kiddush was his weak point. He didn't care for kiddush. He didn't care for kiddush. He needed to go back to this world. Kiddush. Now that you brought a tikkun for his neshama, now he can go back to Gan Eden. So he wanted to reward you. No, what should he do? That's why he took you to the yard. That was the reward he gave you for being metak in his neshama. So Mela Desakosha Fadint, this is your money, and Alter Rebbe gave him a broch. You should start a business. You should be matzliach. So this Shabbos we learned the Maimah from the Alter Rebbe, and the Alter Rebbe is this theme, and there's many themes that are recurring in the Maimorim of the Alter Rebbe. We know the Alter Rebbe, the Torah Lakuta Torah, is a selection of Maimorim from that. Some said from 2,000 Maimorim. It's a selection of Maimorim that the Alter Rebbe, some thought that their recurring theme is about levushim. The Alter Rebbe says it many times. The Alter Rebbe has a big koch in this. Even though the Alter Rebbe's Torah is so deep and so geschmack, but there's something about the Alter Rebbe that always belasoisei, poel mamash, befilcha v'vav chalasoisei. The Alter Rebbe brings the Zoya, that the Zoya says that Avram Zaken Bo Bayomim, that the what's up Shab Bo Bayomim, Bayomim Shleiman. We learned like this Shabbos in the Maimer that a person, the Eibishter knows if a person needs to live, say, Al Derech Moshel, 10,321 days. That's how much days he needs. Why does he need these amount of days? Because the Zohar says that Chosra, Yom Choda, Chosra, Lavusha Choda. Every day is a Lavush. Like we spoke about this and when we learned the Maimer, a simple mashal for us would be if you're an astronaut. If you go out of space, you can't kiri chazoim with the suit and the hosen. You have to have special begodim in order to be able to survive in that climate. And the chosr labusha choda, if he's missing a shoe, he's missing a helmet, he can't. He has to have b'shleimus. The Alter Rebbe says that the 613 mitzvahs is the lavush. And if a yid is missing, he has to say begilgul zeh begilgul acher. That's why we don't have we can't afford to go begilgul zeh begilgul acher. We got to get the job done. Now is the time to get the job done. So the Alter Rebbe says that's why even when it comes to Machadash and Torah, we say v'seinchel keina b'soidasecha. Every person we have our job in avodas Hashem, what we accomplish in the world, and even in the Torah, something that we could highlight in the Torah, something that we could bring out in the Torah, something we could be Machadash in the Torah. Every neshama, and every neshama has a certain amount of levushim it needs to get into Gan Eden. Agavurcha, this is why the Rebbe had a big koch in the Rambam. The Hastalkus of the Alter Rebbe comes on the heels of the Yotze the Rambam, which is Chof Teves, and the Rebbe said one of the reasons why he was mataken to learn Rambam is because a person has to learn Kol HaTorah Kula, and if he didn't learn Kol HaTorah Kula, he might have to come down another Gilgul in order to learn Kol HaTorah Kula. So we can't afford it. We have no time. Time is ticking. Mashiach has to come. So in Melech learn the Rambam, a quick chazor on Kol HaTorah Kula. Anyway, so it's interesting that the Alter Rebbe, on the one hand, is Torahs are so deep. On the other hand, the Alter Rebbe's Torahs, the Nekuda is to give us a chayis into the Poel Mamish. We shouldn't miss even one day, one opportunity, one mitzvah, Lakayim, to come down, which is connected to the Maimah that we're learning this year. Every year, what happened was, as I mentioned last night, the Frierdiker Rebbe passed away on a Shabbos. The Frierdiker Rebbe wrote he used to write his Maimon. Frierdiker Rebbe B'Soif Yom was physically not, he could hardly speak, but he had Lashoni Eit Sofer. His writing was unbelievable. So he wrote a Maimon with 20 chapters, and he left it on his desk. When he was installed Shabbos morning, so afterwards the Rebbe said that this must have been the Tzavah. This is what he left for his Talmidim and the Holchem Bedrochav. Basilagani. What the Rebbe did was that every year the Rebbe would explain one chapter. And the Rebbe would bring in a shtickle Torah from the Baal Shem Tov, the Magi, from every one of the Rabbaim in this Maimon. The Rebbe did that for 20 years, and then Oitcha, the Rebbe did it a second time for 20 years. Now we're on the fourth cycle. We're on the Pedic 13. So what's Pedic 13? The Perek 13 is about Kuchabricha, Lamaila Ad Ein Kates, Lamata Mata Ad Ein Tachlis. Whatever that means, which, I mean, obviously we're planning to learn about what that means, is in Binyanenu, that even though the Alter Rebbe's Torah is very geschmack and gives us a big chayas, but it has to come down that the part of the placha, that it gives us a chayas in our Pearl Mamash. L'chaim, Taka, of Chof Dalet Teves, that every one of us, yes, we can't afford Gilgul Zeh, Gilgul Acher, we can't afford those things. We have to speed down. We have to get everything done. We should do it b'simcha b'tuv leiva. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
I did it. I did it. That's a mention. How much? That person should be each one of us ourselves. L'chaim. Yeah, we should reach one person. Each one of us should reach the person that's inside of us. L'chaim. There's a maimer from the Alter Rebbe on Va'eda. There's a maimer in the Alter Rebbe Va'eda. What's the pshat Va'eda? It's I mentioned Shabbos, the beauty. It's Dafke in the one parsha where the Alter Rebbe says Talkus. All the Maimonim in that parsha has a certain chain, because the Alter Rebbe's whole mahalach is that when a yid is suffering, and the Chasser show him to say that The Yidden were Mitzrayim. It's not because they sinned, they did nothing wrong. It was just Achona from Matan Torah. There's nothing more and nothing less. It wasn't that the Eibush is punishing Avram, Bris ben Absora. He had a lack of betochen. Teves as a whole, it's a Achona from Matan Torah. It's a springboard. So here is a shtickle, a Torah of the Alter Rebbe from the Lakuta Torah, the Torah Or from this week, the Chassidish Parsha. By the way, talking about the Chassidish Parsha, many years ago, the Rebbe had a campaign every week that he wanted that the Olam, everyone should learn the whole Chassidish Parsha, all the Maimorim, and it was Tafshin Achav Vov. Every Shabbos, if you that week you learned the whole Chassidish Parsha, it was called Mavaseder, the Chassidish Mavaseder. That so some parshas it's quite long. It could be 8, 10, 12 Maimonim. So you had the privilege that you went up to the Rebbe and say L'chaim. The Rebbe didn't ask questions. No one ever didn't test it. The Rebbe didn't test anyone. It's an honor system. The Rebbe said anyone that
said the words.
Right, that year the Rebbe spoke about it an entire year, and the Rebbe never mentioned again about it once until one of the last sichas, Tkunas HaShluchim Tavshin Numbeis. The Rebbe said we have to bring Mashiach Vosam Shanton, and the Rebbe said Medaf Trachten an Eitzah. And one of the things the Rebbe said on Eitzah is Shalom the Mimav said the Chassidish Parsha. There's something about even though there's Tanya, and there's a certain thing as you see when you learn Shabbos morning, the Torah Or. There's something about it. There's something about it. Even though Chassidus, there are deeper Maimorim and there's more Askoladika, but there's something about this that when you learn it, you see why Chassidim grew up on the Torah and Torah Or. Anyway, there's a Maimer, the first Maimer in Va'eda, the Alter Rebbe says that the Golus is like being pregnant. Geula is considered in all the prophecies, Chevlei Leida, Chevlei Mashiach. Simple Pshat is just like a baby, when the mother is having pain, say, don't worry, just a couple of minutes, it's all going to be good. You're going to have a baby, and it'll be all kedai to have the pain because you're going to have a baby. So it's only, it's kedai to have the pain because you're going to have a baby. But the Alter Rebbe says no, that the Pshat is that when a Yid is in Golus, it's like a woman being pregnant. What's the Pshat pregnancy? The baby has hands, he has 10 fingers, everything. Elamai is oichel mimash ima echelos v'shoyse mimash ima shoyse. That the baby is not living its own life. Uber yerech ima. We spoke about this lomdus about on Sunday in a relevant Shaila we spoke about. So what's the Pshat in Avodas Hashem? Avodas Hashem means that really a Yid has to live, daf leben. He has eyes. He sees the Eibishter. He sees Einoid Malvadoi. He sees that the world is nothing but Huam Avayehi, Hutziv Avayamed. He sees that the Eibishter is Machadish Betuva B'chol Yom Tom and Masa Vereshis, like the Baal Shem Tov said, B'chol Rege V'Rege is Machadish. The Eibishter recreates the world. That's his eyes. What does he hear? He hears a Lakus, and his whole life is an unbelievable chayas in the mitzvahs. So what's the opposite of that? The opposite of that is if a person is an ibur. The baby has hands, has feet, but is not an independent being. That the chayas and the mitzvahs is zero, and he's doing it because he's a robot, routine. That's just what needs to be done, but there's no chayas in it. Furthermore, the Rebbe is Moisef and a Maimer, that take an example, the heart. So a baby, the heart is really is working, but it's from the mother's heart. Everything is really not from the baby's heart. It's from the mother's heart. So what does it mean if it's my heart? My heart means that I have avodas Hashem rotzav v'shoiv. What does a heart do? A heart takes in the blood and then fills it up with oxygen and sends it back out to the body. Chassidus says that's the process of rotzav v'shoiv. Just like the blood, when it goes into the heart, gets the oxygen in order to bring it to the rest of the guf. When a yid has a cheshik to go away from this world, to come close, oilam hasheker, I'd like to go into a daf gemara. I'd like to go into a shtickle Torah Or. I want to go away from this world. I want to go close to Hashem. But then there's the realization that Bakar Chachatachai, the Eibishter wants, I have a job, and I have people that rely on me, and the Eibishter wants me to do that job. If I have to go to Manhattan and on the train, v'chula, on the 3 and the 4, on the queue, that's what the Eibishter wants for me. So that's the Tanu of Shuv. So the heart pumping the blood is Rotzav V'Shoiv. So a yid, which is the way it should be, is that he should have rotzav v'shoiv. That's his own rotzav v'shoiv. But unfortunately, in Golus, so his eyes are not functioning, his ears are not functioning, his heart is not functioning. It's not functioning. It's called ibul. The Alter Rebbe says, "B'chesed Hashem aleinu." The Eibishter is very kind to us, and the Eibishter gave us tzaddikim, Ahmed v'shosla machol v'der to help us in our avodas Hashem. And the Alter Rebbe teaches that's a pshat. Ve'eda Hashem al Avram Yitzchak al Yaakov. Ve'eda is loshen Avar and loshen Hoiva, which is loshen Osid. That if a yid wants to do his avodas Hashem, he should connect to the Ovis, to the tzaddikim. And Mefrotus, he should connect to Avram, because even if he doesn't have a real Avos Hashem his own, but just like a baby, his heart is not running, but his mother is running the business for him. He's not eating, but the mother's eating for him. So he could connect to Avram Avinu's Avos Hashem. So even if it's not a full-fledged Avos Hashem, but if he thinks about how much the Eibishter loves me and how close the Eibishter is to me, and that is a chesed la'Avram, so that brings out the Avos Hashem that's in me. And then when I realize how far I'm from the Eibishter, and still the Eibishter loves me, it gives me a certain yida, which is Yitzchak. And then I have Rachmanas on my Hashem as Yaakov. This is Adkan, the shtickle Torah from the Alter Rebbe. It's the Alter Rebbe's Yortzeit. It's the Shabbos, Ve'eda, so why not? And there's always the Chassidische Parsha is really always the story behind the story. What's the story? The Parsha. And the Alter Rebbe said, we have to live with the times. And the Alter Rebbe explained that means that a Yid lives with the Parsha. Whatever's the Parsha, that's a Yid let medem. Today, there's a cycle of news, and people are living in this world with a cycle of silliness. But a Yid, the Alter Rebbe says, what is a Yid supposed to live with? What's my life? People tune into news, people tune into entertainment, people tune into politics, because they live with it. I'm not talking about someone that needs it because they're in their business. If they're in the financial sector and they need to know what's going on in the markets, that's an andere Sache. That's a separate issue. That's a separate parsha. I'm talking about what a person lives with. The Alter Rebbe's Chassidim, what was their life in when it was Parshas Shmois? Their life was what's happened to the Yidden in Mitzrayim. Rashi, Ibn Ezra, the Ramban, the Kli Yakar, whatever, there was a certain minhag to do every year a different Mefoidish. So in the course of 20, 30 years, you went through every Mefoidish. It was such a minhag Chabad, yeah? So and over time, you got a flavor from every Mefoidish. That's what they lived with. That was their life. That wasn't Stam a shir that they had in the day. They lived with the story of the Parsha. They lived with the story of the Parsha. Like they say the story about there was a Yidina that used to listen to the Parsha, and she used to read it in the Tzen and the Yen and the Yiddish. Yeah, and she every year she felt so bad for Yosef, and when Yosef was going to his brothers, and she knows already. She started screaming, "You know from last year, you want I should have Rachmanis on you. Who asked you to go?" So but that's why Bahamas Yidden lived. They lived with the Parsha. We have to be that way. And maybe in the 21st century, it's not exactly that way, but Mema said, we have to live with the Parsha. And part of living with the Parsha is to live with the story behind the story. Take, there's a Moshe Rabbeinu, and there's a Aaron, and there were human beings of flesh and blood, and whatever, their shoe was size 9 or 10 or 11, v'chulu, and they had shoelaces that ripped sometimes, and they went to Mr. Davidson here and they got themselves a new pair of shoelaces, v'chulu. They were real people. Huh?
He was 10 amas tall, maybe.
His shoes were a little bigger. Size 10 amas. So, but that's the story. The story behind the story is what we're learning in Lekutei Torah. That the Yidden are in Golus, V'lo shamal Moshe mekoitzer ruach v'avoda kosha is talking about me and you. That einayim lahem v'lo yidu is nayim lahem v'lo yishmu. That we're so into the world that we're not in tune to ma'agodlo masech Hashem, ma'raba masech Hashem. Lamai b'chesed. That's the story behind the story. That's the Chassidische Parsha. Why is it important to learn the Chassidische Parsha? It's important that Yiddish to live every week with the story of the Parsha, and it's also important. That's why, by the way, by Chassidim they used to pick sometimes different Mefarshim. And Rashi is bread and butter. You can't. Some people today have this crazy diets about eating without bread. How can you live without bread? Bread and cake. That's right. You just to live on that. But that's the bread and butter of a Jew is the Rashi. But Chassidim had a minhag to like every year enough them a Chodesh because it was a different, it mixes it up a little bit. But still, you have to know the story behind the story. The whole story behind the story is the Lakutei Torah and the Torah Or. And this week, the story behind the story is that every one of us sometimes is in the same story that the Yidden are Mitzrayim, that Lo Shama Al Moshe Avodah Ruach Mekoitze Ruach Avodah Kosha, that we're like in pregnancy. Einayim Lem V'lo Yidu is Naim Lem V'lo Yishmu, and Raglayim V'lo Ya'aleichem. We're not walking in Avodah Hashem, we're not advancing in Avodah Hashem. So the Chesed Hashem Aleinu, the Eibush give us tzaddikim Omed V'Shos L'Machol D'Or V'Dor. Chabad magazine had some time ago a beautiful interview they had with Rav Eliyahu Sternbach. He has a brother, Moshe Sternbach, that today probably considered one of the Goyne Hadar Mamish. He's one of the poskim in the Charedes. Rav Eliyahu Sternbach was many years a dain in Besdin in Antwerp, or in the Besdin of Reb Chaim Kreisworth. So Chabad magazine, an interview with him, just a beautiful story. So he was at Rov for many years in Antwerp, and then when Chaim Kreisworth passed away, he took over the Besdin, and he also had Talmidim in the yeshiva there in Antwerp. He came to America in Tov Shalom Zayin in the 70s, 77, 76. He came to America, and he asked the Talmidim if they can organize that he would have the opportunity to see Lubavitcher Rebbe. So he came to see the Rebbe, and Agavi said he was learning then Hilchis Nida, and he had a kasha on one of the shittas in the Alter Rebbe, and he mentioned to the Rebbe his kasha, and he was astounded that the Rebbe was as if the Rebbe was in the sugya. The Rebbe right away went into this. A few minutes. He said it was like the whole Yechidus was an hour, and this was a few minutes. But he said it was like unbelievable lumdus. And then in the Yechidus, he said he wanted to ask the Rebbe Shaila. As a Yid that comes from this, that's so influenced by the Chassam Sofer, and we know the Shitta of Chassam Sofer was that religious Jews should just remove themselves from the non-religious Jews, to put a divide, should just try to keep away from them. Hayatoch and the Lubavitcher Rebbe Shitta is so different. So the Rebbe told him, he said that the days of the people that some Sefer were dealing with and the people we're dealing with today are very different. Those were Yidden that were Yedeis Rebbeinu. Many of them were learning in yeshivas. And they unfortunately had an agenda that they wanted to influence Rahman al-Islam, the Yidden that were Yerei Mishleim. They tried to influence them in a bad way and their children. And it was dangerous. And therefore, the Chassam Sofer had a shita. We just have to go away from them. But the Rebbe says, preposterous to think that today, the Yid, the American Yid, is trying to influence. They're not influenced, they're nothing. They're Vesel from Garnish. So that's a very different situation. Now we have an opportunity to be Mekar of them. So, it was going good. He got his answer from the Rebbe. And all of a sudden, the Rebbe turned the tables. He said he got it. It was like, oi. The Rebbe said, B'Stacharov in Belgium, there's a city in the south of Belgium. There's a city, the Rebbe said the name of the city, Ballon. There's two big churches there. There's still a lot of children from the Holocaust that their parents never put them there, and that they had Yisurei Guva Nefesh, and they ended up in Olam Emes, and now they're having Yisurei Nefesh, that the children valgeren sich noch in the cloister, and what's the Kehillah in Antwerp doing about it? So he said that there's nothing to do. It's very hard. That Rebbe said Emes is very hard.
Rabbanim tried,
and Rabbanim tried, and the Rebbe said, but right now, the Oyser Aish in Rome is Koyach has became very weak lately. I'm not around the 70s. People are not so Oyser at Zoyna L'Shmoya B'Kol Dvori so much. And in Medav kamen unterschmieren. The old Jewish way. And Medav kamen unterschmieren. Oichet Abi to get those kids out. And the Rebbe asked him if he could be in contact with a certain Kosher Verov and the Vik Yadas and in Belgium also that was, if they could do something, if they could try to reopen the case. So he said that he came back to Antwerp and he tried, and it was very difficult. The biggest obstacle is that some of those Nebuch Jewish children grew up and they were in key positions in these churches, and they themselves were the biggest obstacles. Rahman al-Islam.
They're Jewish.
They probably knew they're Jewish, There was Rahman al-Islam many years ago. There was someone that came, he was almost if he wasn't Jewish, he would have been the Elamai. Fort, they hate Jews. Fort, huh?
You mean in France?
Yeah, the guy in France. Yeah. So Fort, they hate Jews. So they but Nebuch, these guys, the founder before the Chayidische Cup. They say that there was a guy that was there were two beggars sitting, and one was sitting with a big cross. And every guy goes past, he puts in his plate, and the other guy is sitting with a big Magen David Ayid, and people are spitting at him, looking at him. So Yid passes by, and he sees that the guy with the plate is full of money, and the Yidala with the Magen David, the people are spitting at him. So he says, if you're really going to sit next to the guy, why don't you hide your Magen David? So the guy with the cross turns to the guy with the Magen David. Moshe, this guy is going to tell us how to do business. So, unfortunately, Yid, even Afal Pishachota, still he has a Yiddish cup. So Rav Sternbach said it was really taka. It was very difficult to work on this, but it was nispal to see that there was so many years and such a distance, and that the Rebbe was like, it bothered him. It was on his mind that there were still places that there were Yiddish kindlach still there. And he asked the Rebbe if he can write a kvittel, because it was so like. So the Rebbe opened his drawer, took out a piece of paper and a pencil, and gave it to him, and he wrote a kvittel. And then the Rebbe told him that for years I was racking my brain. So what can I do, Taka, to help another Yid? And the Rebbe said, I found a simple eitzah. The Mishnah says mitzvah geredes mitzvah, and that's the idea of the mitzvah campaign. The Rebbe said, because if a Yid does even one mitzvah, it's guaranteed. The Mishnah says geredes mitzvah, that when he already did the one mitzvah, he's going to do another mitzvah. The kacholo. So that's the trick that Rebbe said. That's the whole of the Mitzvahim campaign. Okay, l'chaim, like the Alter Rebbe says that Baruch Hashem, the Eibishter gave us tzaddikim b'chol der v'dor that could teach us the story behind the story in the parsha, and Mamela make it relevant to us. That every one of us taka, we shouldn't be like we shouldn't chas v'shalom be that einayim lam v'lo yidu as nayim v'lo yishmu. We shouldn't be b'chinas ibur the taka. We should see with our eyes, we should hear with our ears, and we should be mahalach and avodas Hashem. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
These are good. Amen. Did it. First, I'd like to ask everyone to give a bracha for one of our chavraya, Yitzchak David Ber ben Hindachave. So sein gesund, la richel shama mishanam toiv.
Amen.
So sein gesund, amar fu shleim. So we make a Farbrengen. It's a good idea to make a Farbrengen with the kinderlach, because we spoke about the Sunday about Kadesh is Dabko Oznav B'divrei Torah. It's unbelievable. See the Rebbe's attitude we saw in the video. Once you saw that video, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable, because people sometimes complain, a kinderlach, malef tanuma, machtatumu, and you see that there's a sikha once that the Rebbe spoke about, was bringing the kids to hear the Megillah, and the Rebbe said, on the Marosov are complaining that they're going to miss a word from the hearing the Megillah. I just the expression. Huh? The Marosov, mamish like this, and the Marosov are complaining. That's what the Rebbe said. So Abema says, I'll digress for a second. It's an unbelievable word. It's an unbelievable word. You heard the word? Yeah, it's an unbelievable word. That the Gemara says that the Gemara says that they came, the Talmidim of Rabbi Yeshua came to Pakin, and he said to them, "Well, you come from the Beis Medrash. What happened? Shabbos shall me, because then they sacked Rabbi Gamliel and they put him back and they put Rabbi Elazar. They made up shorter. That 3 weeks said Rabbi Gamliel will darshan, and one week Rabbi Elazar Azariah. So he asked, what did he darshan? So he said, he darshan that the mitzvah of Hakel, that the Anoshim come and the Noshim come to hear, but the babies, why do they come? So Rabbi Yeshua said, wow, Magol is Tova Yeshli B'yedchem, and you almost didn't tell it to me. There's another gis. I'm not going to go into everything we spoke about Sunday. You have to come Sunday to know what we spoke Sunday, but just the Nekudas Adover, it's a Mordik Chiddush from the Meshech Chochmah. It's from the Meshech Chochmah that he says, what was the Psazei de Gewalt? Rabbi Shua ben Chananya says, is the one that lived in Pekiyin. Rabbi Shua in Pekiyin is Rabbi Shua ben Chananya. And how did he become such a tzaddik? Because the Gemara says that his mother brought him when he was a mamish, a tiny baby. When the Marosov said, what do you bring a little baby in the shul? And she brought him in the shul. Kadesh dabku oznav b'divrei Torah. So now that he heard that Rabbi Elazar Azariah said that what's the gewalt of Hakel to bring the babies? The Torah says we should bring the babies. He said, that's my golas Teves, yes, but this is who I am because of that. Anyway, lehevi yudua that it's b'chlal ha'etza toiva, the fameka farbrengen lezman lezman with the bnei bayis, with children. A bottle of soda, a couple of cookies, whatever it takes. Kedai to make a farbrengen lezman lezman with children, and befrat by telling stories of tzaddikim and chassidim, stories of Chazal. It goes deep, deep, deep in the neshama. Anyway, tonight I told the kids a story that they really enjoyed. So there's a shliach from the early shluchim at Rebbe Baumgarten. Kids love this story. So Rebbe Baumgarten was doing.
It's early 50s.
Yeah, I think they had it once in the Gem video. He told someone from the Mishpach told the story that he was going to the Rebbe sent him to Argentina,
Right.
and he said that that time there was a lot of there was Yidden, European Yidden that came, and the kids were like cowboys, but there was a lot to do. You were able to Makadev. He was going from place to place. He was going to. Unbelievable opportunity because there's still a little bit of Yiddish. They still know a little bit that they're Jewish. So he was in the summer, and it was Yud Beis Tammuz, and he was making his rounds, and he was waiting in his car to cross one of these big rivers, and
He's waiting for a ferry. He was waiting for a ferry.
And he said it was time, so he saw there was a post office, and he wrote a letter to the Rebbe saying he's feeling lonely, and he's asking the Rebbe to have him in his mind. So he sent the telegram, and then he went back in his place in line. He got on the boat, he parked his car, and it's like most of the people got out of the cars and they got whatever he didn't want to. He was sat in the car. In the meantime, there was an accident, a boat with a big banana boat, a boat that was carrying a lot of bananas. So his car went flying off where its ledge, where it was sitting, and went flying in the water. And he tried to open the door of the car, and he can't. He tried to open the window, it doesn't help. And he thinks that it's over, he's saying vidui. In the meantime, this is Yud Beis Tammuz, and there's a Farbrengen going on, Tovshin Yud Gimel, I think it was. And there's a Farbrengen going on, and the Rebbe says that there is such a thing that a person goes deep down in the minds to dig for something good. For example, I want him Teves. He's scared he'll get lost down deep down. So Machshach Sakona, he has a harness, and there's a rope high up. If there's any Sakona, he'll be pulled out of the Sakona. And the Rebbe said, Bekesher to this, the story of the Merel of Premishlan. I'm a Zingebund and Oiben falt man nicht inten. That the Merel once, that everyone said that there's a Chabal Nes, that there was a place, there was a mikveh in the winter, he would go up and down a mountain that was slippery, he never ever fell. He walked steady. And they said, you see, he's a Yish Kodesh. So people say, it's a big deal, you can do it. And some people went and they glitched and they got hurt. So they say, confirmed that a Meirol is a tzaddik. So he said, no, it's no big deal. I'm at Sigabund and Oiben falt man nicht inten. So I'm telling the story tonight. One of the kids asked me, I understand, what's the difference? So he admitted he's a tzaddik. So this is what a tzaddik is, that he's Sigabund and Oiben. So what does it help? So obviously the answer probably is that the Meirol was saying that no, that it's not a trick that only a tzaddik could do. I'm a sigibend and oiben falt man nicht inten. Because if it was true, so then takazai. So what's a chiddush? So he was trying to say it's nothing big deal, no big deal. Don't say it's a miracle. It's no big deal. It's something that everyone could do. It's obviously everyone could do, and especially if the Rebbe told over the story and he said it over like this. That Sigibend and Oiben falt man nicht inten. And then the Rebbe paused, and the Rebbe said, Baumgarten, zog l'chaim. So he's Beryl Baumgarten's younger brother, Mendel, said l'chaim, and that was it. And later, his brother, Taka, had an unbelievable hatzalah. He says he had no idea what happened, but he felt like there was a hand that opened up, a mysterious hand that opened the door, and he went out of the car and he swam up to the top, and like everyone was looking in horror because they saw this car fell in, and they sent him a rope and they brought him back on shore, on the boat, and then it was like spoke about in the newspapers. Next time he was in New York, and he was at Yechidus, so he said that Rebbe told him, "Nu, Berel, hab ich von dir getracht?" The Rebbe asked him, "No, yeah, I thought about you. It's an unbelievable thing." So, l'chaim, that definitely there's no shaila that the Balei Lula, the Alter Rebbe, thinks about us. And now tonight we're starting Avodas Hashem to get ready for Yud Shvat. There is a Maimah Basa Lagani, as I mentioned before. Basa Lagani is not 1, 2, 3. It's a Maimah about Avodas Hashem, and it takes effort to learn it. Shabbos doesn't Misha Torach Be'erev Shabbos Yechol B'Shabbos. Misha Loi Torach Be'erev Shabbos Ma Yechol B'Shabbos. Same thing in Avodas Hashem. Like Chassidim, they would start getting ready in Avodas Hashem for Shabbos on Wednesday, because how you fall into Shabbos? So what's Shabbos? Wednesday you already started. And then you fall into now this is Shabbos. Same thing here. The Rebbe said that in a kviz like that there's always between. Thank you, David. Always between Chof, Dalet, Teves and Yud Shvat is one day. Like this year, Tuesday is Chof, Dalet, Teves. Yud Shvat is going to be on Wednesday, and like it's just a day apart. It's Tuesday and Wednesday. It's 2 weeks in between, but the Rizal said that all the Sundays are connected, and all the Mondays are connected, and all the Tuesdays are connected. So it's time to start learning. Alibed and Avshei, there's an expression in Chassidus that there's two ways of learning. One is one of the expressions always to learn Alibed and Avshei. What does it mean Alibed and Avshei? I should learn it. Obviously, I'm learning it. Alibed and Avshei means it should penetrate. I should make it relevant to me. I should make the Maimah relevant to me. So to learn the Maimah, to make it relevant to me, takes time. So now is the time to start learning Basa Lagani, because we have to go from Tuesday to Wednesday. So l'chaim, that we should learn. And as Zayin Tzigebund and Oibund and Nishval Nenten. L'chaim.
Chaim, l'chaim.
Hey, Masai, Kasima, Leche Yabot, someone has a Kota, Masai,
Oh, man.
Hey, Masai, Kasima. Hey, Masai, Kasima. Leche Yabutso. Masai, Kasima. Leche Yabutso. Masai Kosimat, I like a Jaya put someone as a Kakutsa. Hey, Masai Kosimat, Lechaya put someone as a Kakutsa. Masai Kosimat, I like Jaya put so Masai. Wow. Fancy.
Finish with the meat, with the fish.
Yeah.
Aha.
Don't use the same plate.
David, you're missing the fancy stuff here.
I see it. I shouldn't have watched. I shouldn't have been part of it.
No, it's good to watch.
Don't need to get it with the
Baruch
fish.
Hashem. I have plenty of stuff here.
I know his Mendel is his father. Levi, right? Bettel is his uncle. Bettel is his uncle.
Lady?
Yeah.
I saw Lady last night. Really? I have at the oil.
Yeah.
And he says today, 210 years of Dalet Teves. 210 were due.
Ah, that's a shame.
When that
Oh.
It said 400 years.
Mentioned that, someone Roberts mentioned the 210 years old.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Go down.
Very nice.
So,
Wow.
so that means we're done with our 210 years since Alberto passed away, and now what?
Come out of Egypt. Come out of Mitzrayim.
You know,
We made it through too.
now you know.
This is why the Rabbi never said.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Gula,
down, he was always at the edge of his chair.
They have any other.
Yeah, no. Mordechai, you got some l'chaim?
We got
You got, yeah?
fair.
Good, very good. L'chaim, l'chaim. Give Yitzchak some l'chaim. You got? Okay, very good. L'chaim, l'chaim, l'chaim.
Baumgarten was my neighbor on Carroll, and that was a story.
Yeah, very good, very good. Very good.
Today was the difference between learning 101 times and 100 times.
Mhm. And today there's a little mention.
Service, one who serves Hashem, one who doesn't serve
Went to
Hashem.
medical school at University of Pittsburgh. Came to Fred Heights and all
Take some, don't take it.
And
See you later.
mentor.
Not the same, like they had fish.
Stav yapitu. Piatnitsu. Oh, piatnitsu. I prapavya. Svayo. Piatnitsu. L'chaim, l'chaim.
A Chabad mitzvah tank.
Baznati yakrechati. Oh, tzedek odamati. Refano. Amor prechat. Da pie. Da migulaye. Oh, me trinken yagen azoy.
RabbiShofet.com.
Oh, mir sagen alle zusammen. Ay. Die Shema. I am in the Shema. Savia Pitu. Oh, to. Oh, Subatu. I prapavya. Treba snati yagulati. Treba snati yakrechati. Oh, I cheshboy tzedek odavati. Treba Kazayina. Chati. And I am a drinking yayin as I am. Oh, mir sagen alles zusammen. I am. Beatati Shema. Ameyina Shomayi. L'chaim, l'chaim. Maiso, the Eibus shall helfen. You know that we should be able to continue to grow in avodas Hashem, and like we bounce off each other. That we should continue and Machlal, that we should continue here in Beis Menachem Mendel in a stronger way. Lamai Lamaila, the Yodrama, and Shumi just mentioned the Dushana. It's time to anoiche al olcha Allah, that to have an aliyah, to have a big aliyah. So the Eibus shall helfen that every one of us should have aliyah in our avodas Hashem, and that the Eibus should get chilul Farbrengen, always beten. That everyone here that needs should gesund and menuchas hanefesh and menuchas hadas and parnosa barchove, freiliche heit and gesunde heit and machen gute Shidduchim for the Kinderlach. And every Yid should have a Cholam at Starichloi in the last few minutes of Golos, including that we should have Bias Mashiach Tzidkein. Chaim l'chaim. I did it. 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 Yeah, did it. Yeah, did it. Yeah, did it. The Baal Shem Tov hat lieb gehat Licht. That's the way Tzemach Tzedek told the story. That the Baal Shem Tov liked it should be lichtig. Light. Wow. When I came to this neighborhood 15 years ago, and we were looking, it took a long time didn't take us a long time. It took us over 3 weeks to find a house, but we were looking day and night. But when we were looking, an unbelievable thing, a Jewish house has like 10 times the amount of light bulbs a Goyish house. I'm not kidding. A Goyish house, a room like this is 3-4 light bulbs, gendikt. I'm telling you, Goyim.
When it comes to them, that's what they
The Goyim don't like light. They don't like light.
Oh.
I don't know if they're saving money or what. You come into a Yiddish house, spotlights, there's lights, the chandeliers, there's light. Huh? Yeah. He doesn't like light.
Support cannabis.
Some Canadians here to support us. Our Hashem. So the Baal Shem Tov had lieb gehat Licht. So there was once in the base Medrash, and it was in the winter, and they ran out of candles. And the Baal Shem Tov sent that they should bring more candles to the base Medrash. And they could not find any candles to buy. So the Baal Shem Tov said it was a very cold night. And you know what happens when you have a pitched roof, and the water goes leaking from both sides, and it's very, very cold. So the water leaks down, and there's icicles. And they're called in Yiddish, Eislichtelach. Eislichtelach. It looks like a candle, but it's made out of ice. The Baal Shem Tov said that they should bring Eislichtelach. And they went and they cracked off. So there's this guy that built a replica of the Baal Shem Tov shul. And they based on pictures, she made it as much as humanly possible close to the original Shul de Baal Shem Tov. It's an unbelievable thing. So they brought in a ton of lichtelach, eislichtelach, and they lit it, and it said gescheint. And that's the story that Tzemach Tzedek told about the Baal Shem Tov. And the Rebbe told the story. The Rebbe told it somewhere in the Chofts. The Rebbe told it with. The Rebbe said that it's well, what's the Nakuda the Maisa? What's the Nakuda the Maisa? That the Chidush of the Baal Shem Tov is that even though its eyes, it's cold and it's frozen, that the frozen itself, the ice itself, the chometz is the opposite of shemen. Same thing here. The ice is the opposite of lichtigkeit. So that's the chiddush. That's the chiddush. That's the chiddush. And Rebbe said that that's the uniqueness of Chodesh Teves. Then the Megillah it says, "Vatelo Esther," that she when was she taken to Achashverosh? And Chodesh Teves. Why is it negated to say it's Chodesh Teves? So the Gemara says in Megillah, the Yerech Shaguf Nena Mina Guf. That because it's very cold, so one goof of a human being it warms up the goof of another human being, like husband and wife. But the Chassidus says that the pshat is goof and a goof is like loshem etzem. That the Eibishter is nana from the avodas Hashem of a yid, from the etzem of a yid. The etzem of the Eibishter is nana from the etzem of a yid. So there is the avodas and neshama. The avodas and neshama is more in the summer, and in the winter is more avodas haguf. That's why in the winter we need to have chassidus more than in the summer, because the guf, it's a little harder to penetrate the kedusha in the guf. Everyone could take a regular candle and make it light, but to take an icicle and the icicle should burn like a candle. You know what that means? Take an icicle to make it burn like a candle. So for this we need a Baal Shem Tov. We need a psakoyach, a special koyach. That avodas and neshama is not such a chiddush. The chiddush is that we could do, even though some of us have a guf, it's like that's the guf, like real guf. Not like his brother Yisrael Noach. But a guf. You know, some of us know what that means. We have a guf, and the chiddush is that even us. So Yisrael Noach is for the summer, but we celebrate the winter. That even us with the icicles, even us that we could penetrate, and that's the koyach of the Baal Shem Tov, the Torah of Baal Shem Tov and Tamid Baal Shem Tov, Tamid give us this koyach that it's a chiddush, it's an icicle, and it should burn. And even though it's a chiddush, but that's taka the kavon al yona. The Eibishter wants shagufa elyon. The Eibishter's guf elyon. The Eibishter's nana min aguf. That our avodas Hashem is with aguf, not so much avodas and neshama. So l'chaim, this is connected today to Chof Dalet Teves. Maybe shall help them. That every one of us should bounce off each other in our avodas Hashem.
Amen.
And the taka that we should all be matzliach in avodas Hashem. Medals of matzliach zayin avodas Hashem.
Amen.
And the main thing is that the Sum Mashiach is coming, and all about the Knesset is about the Medash of we parked somewhere in Yerushalayim.
That's exciting.
Okay, so let's go to the Yochanon. Menachem is got l'chaim. yeah, 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 yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Ah, ah, yeah, da, da, ah, ah, yeah, 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 yeah. Ah, ah, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Ah, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Ay, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Schön, it's a Right. Chaim l'chaim.
I am.
David shall help him that everything that we learned tonight, everything that we did tonight, like the Rebbe's Loshen, Abom Yashres Yaakov Yotzes Porach Yashresh, it should hit roots. It should hit roots. It should hit roots into us. Maybe shall help him. Should be matzliach. We bounce off each other as avodas Hashem. It's unbelievable. And David shall help him that we should see the story that's in the story. We should talk him as 11-minute Zeit. We should live. Pasha, we should live every week with the Pasha Shavua, and we should live with the story behind the story. L'chaim, l'chaim. Never said nicht gemacht a bracha achreine, wird sich gemacht a bracha achreine. So, you ready to start Boss Lagani? Ah, yeah?
Yeah.
Good?
So,